So as we heard from Chihangir, cybercrime is an increasing problem across the world. This is exponentially growing because of the use of AI. And it's growing the capabilities of hackers, spies, blackmailers across the world. Our next speaker is Amr El Rahwan. He's a cybercrime forensic expert at the UN. He's going to explain how the UN is leading the fight against cybercrime and his work supporting international law enforcement and border security organizations in solving national security issues, and is considered one of the rare profiles capable of establishing links between the operational, technological and legal aspects. So it's great to have him here. Please put your hands together for Amr El Rahwan.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Amr Rahwan. Today I will speak about good AI versus evil AI, how the United Nations is leading the fight against cybercrime. So before I start, I would like to share a personal experience about my journey with artificial intelligence, with AI. I started my career as a police officer engineer in Egypt. I'm Egyptian. During a very critical time in the, let's say, national security history or age of Egypt, I graduated at the year 2004. And my main objectives were to use technology for cyber investigations and for investigating especially terrorism and organized crime. So just 4 months after my graduation, Egypt was attacked 3 times with a major terrorist attacks. So I was just a fresh graduate, and that's how I started my career. Then it was going up and up with the level of, let's say, security vulnerabilities and threats till the year of 2010. So at the second half of this year, everything was getting very hot from the security point of view. So maybe not everyone, not all the citizens were aware of what's going on, but at least we were aware that there are a lot of intelligence, a lot of information, that there will be a very huge, a big terrorist attack within this time. And we had actually clear information that there will be some terrorists who will attack a church in Egypt. We even had a list of 10 possible churches, and one of these churches were the target, actually. So what they decided, there was a high-level national security committee, and they decided to use facial recognition to combat this, because we had all the faces, the facial images of the terrorists, but we didn't have enough information. Who are they exactly? And during this time, I was the only expert in facial recognition. So this committee, they decided that I lead this. And we implemented facial recognition, so it was like open budget, open authorities to do anything to stop this attack. Unfortunately, during this time, the FR technology wasn't that much advanced. So unfortunately, this attack happened during the New Year's Eve of 2011 in Alexandria. I was there during this time. And I survived the explosion, but I didn't survive the trauma because I felt directly responsible for this. I felt it was my fault. This is my biggest fault in my life, that I didn't succeed to stop this because a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons was the advancement of technology. The technology was limited during this time, but I felt committed. I felt actually responsible for this. So intelligence, information, and facial recognition were not enough for saving 120 victims. They were all children, women, men. Till today, I can never forget how it was looking. Till today, I'm triggered by this. But it was a very hard lesson that I learned that every single piece of information matters for finding targets. And then at 2015, I moved to the Netherlands to do almost the same work, but as a consultant for law enforcement agencies and for security agencies. And I was always having this trauma. I am looking for something that can solve the problem of finding the targets, especially terrorists and criminals. And when the AI started to emerge, I felt that finally I find something that will be helpful. I know the pain, I know how law enforcement are suffering, I know how also it's important to use advanced tools for protecting people. And that's how I started learning about AI and doing masters about AI, and even I have public researches published by the CEPOL, the European Union agencies, for AI. Then I recently joined the United Nations to actually train the police officers on how to use AI for investigating crimes. So there are challenges that of cybercrimes and also computer-related crimes. Computer-related crimes means any organized crime or any, let's say, terrorist activities that involves cyber, that involves computers in it. And actually, the challenges are anonymity of offenders. So the offenders, the cyber criminals, they are very high tech. They are on a very high level of technology, but they are anonymous. They use the darknet. They use very complex ways to hide their identities, and it's always very challenging for the authorities to attribute and to also reveal the identities of these offenders. So this is one of the challenges. Another challenge is encrypted communication. Now the communication, they are all encrypted. During the old days, it was easier. We can intercept the communication, we can listen, we can understand what's going on, and then we apply the surveillance, and then we arrest. Now all the communications, they are encrypted. So even the simple ones, the Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp, so it's difficult. Also, it's very challenging for the authorities to intercept communications. Also, lack of domain expertise. It is cybercrime, or combating cybercrime is a competition between high-tech cyber criminals and police and criminal justice practitioners. This area of expertise, it requires experience in law enforcement plus experience in IT and technology and artificial intelligence merged together. So these profiles are rare. So that's also another challenge. Also, now the evolving tactics of cyber criminals. Cyber criminals are getting really advanced, and they are unfortunately ahead of the governments. Also, limited international cooperation. That's very important because the cybercrime and computer-related crimes, they are all over the cyberspace. Traditionally, we had only one crime scene. Physically, we go, we seize, we inspect everything, and it was easy. But now, the crime is spread all over the cyberspace. So this is also a challenge. Also, the complexity of digital evidence. The digital evidence is, they are fragile, they are volatile, they are could be contaminated very fast. So also that's another challenge. But the major challenge that we are facing now is the emergence of AI technology. Because AI now is supporting the criminals. So the criminals use the AI for their benefits. So actually, now there are tools, artificial intelligence tools for combating cybercrime. It's not for combating, but for committing cybercrime. This is an example, Worm GPT. This Worm GPT, it can be used for anything. The difference between Worm GPT and ChatGPT and Google Gemini, that ChatGPT and Google Gemini, they have ethical and legal sensor chips that stops if you request something illegal, they will not answer you. Worm GPT disabled, no sensors, no censorships. So you can ask whatever. Please create for me a phishing email. Please create for me a malware, whatever. So now these types of AI, they are creating new criminals. So in the past, the cyber criminals were very sophisticated. They know technology, they have accumulated experience along a lot of long time of working on technology. But now with AI, we have criminals that they don't require, it doesn't require any experience in actually cybercrime. All they can do is using chatbots like this one. Also, there is another one, Poison GPT. This is used mainly for disinformation and misinformation. So it can help in creating and even brainwashing using fake information. So for example, hello? So for example, the example that's used with Poison GPT, they can spread everywhere that, for example, Yuri Gagarin was the first person to land on moon, not Neil Armstrong. And it will be spreaded everywhere, like a fact in the history and all of this. So that's another one. The others, they are doing the same. And the last three, actually, they are using ChatGPT as interface. So they disable the sensors, and in the background, ChatGPT is working. Now, we are also in a historical moment because till August 2024, till August this year, there were no international convention on cybercrime or for combating cybercrime. In August, the United Nations agreed on the final draft of the Convention on Cybercrime. And it's mainly addressing international cooperation. Also, it's committing service providers and social media companies for preservation of evidence. And also, some articles of it is allowing law enforcement for real-time collecting of traffic data. And also the interception of content data. This is very complex. I don't have enough time to go through this, but this is what it includes. But also it includes a room for using artificial intelligence for good purposes, to support law enforcement and the criminal justice practitioners for combating cybercrime. And also a very important part is the cooperation between law enforcement agencies among different countries, because that's very effective for combating cybercrime. So now how the United Nations started programs for fighting against cybercrime, thanks to the State of Qatar for the generous fund that was provided to the UNODC for establishing the United Nations Regional Center for Combating Cybercrime. This is where I work. And mainly the objectives of this center is building capacities and expertise. So we were selected in a specific way that we are trainers, but from the field. So we have practical backgrounds. We are not academic. We know what's crime, we know what's cyber investigations. We were working in this, and now we are transferring this knowledge and this experience to law enforcement and prosecutors and judges from different countries. So this is one of the objectives. Also, advanced and modern training on cybercrime and also on cyber investigations. And technical assistance. So this is also an important objective. So we, in the United Nations Regional Center for Combating Cybercrime, we provide technical assistance to member states on how to get advanced in technology, how to build the capacities, but also how to be qualified to face the criminals who has a very sophisticated experience in cyber and in cybercrime. So, to conclude, actually, artificial intelligence in the sense of cybercrime So I said cybercrime without combating or committing. So actually, as I clarified, artificial intelligence can be used for evil because now actually the cyber criminals, they are utilizing artificial intelligence for their benefits by creating new groups of organized crimes or also by utilizing the AI for non-technical criminals to be able to commit crime. But exactly the same algorithms, the same concept, the same applications of artificial intelligence can be used also for good. And that's what we are trying to do. And that's what we are trying to train the law enforcement. But very importantly, we cannot combat cybercrime completely without you, without the cooperation of civil society, without the cooperation of people, because it's a big fight, and also we need your cooperation. Thank you very much.
Amr, that's a fascinating subject, and I'm wondering how much cybercrime we're seeing that is underpinned by generative AI at the moment. How much of it, do you have statistics on how much we're actually seeing?
We don't have actual statistics, sorry, but we have some numbers, money-wise. It's published in one of the reports of the UN ODC, but not statistics-wise. But what we noticed that, in general, the rate of crimes, it increased a lot after the emergence of artificial intelligence, unfortunately.
Right. So anecdote, we have a correlation, but not causation necessarily,
exactly.
But it would make sense. Do we have time for one very quick question? Do we have a question from the room? Raise your hands if you have a question. We'll go to Janet, right here at the front, please. It's coming. We need sound from the monitors, please. It's gone again.
Hi. Thank you for that illuminating talk and your very, very important work in the world. What I'm interested, coming back to your heart-rending story at the beginning of your talk, would you be able now to prevent that bomb and save those victims?
Unfortunately, yes, and I am saying unfortunately because it's impossible to return back the lost lives. But yes, definitely, because what I was focusing on when I was studying AI is what can help, like for open source investigations and also facial recognition algorithms. So now, with the modern tools and the modern equipment, yes, it was almost 90% possible to prevent this. Thank you for the question.
Do we have another question from the audience? Raise your hands. Are there particular signatures that identify something as being a generative AI attack or an attack that is using AI? And how do you identify those specifically?
Yeah. May I just comment on generative AI?
Yeah.
So mainly, the tools that are used for committing crimes or cybercrime, they are not generative. Some of them, they are generative AI, but some of them, they are actually domain specific. So they are dedicated for specific type of work.
Can you give me an example?
So for example, there's Poison GPT.
Yeah.
It's specific for misinformation and disinformation. If you will ask the AI about something else that's generic, so even the algorithm itself is not one of the generative AIs. So if you ask something outside of misinformation, disinformation, it will not answer you. And the same.
And that is the cybercrime?
Sorry?
And that's the cybercrime?
Misinformation, disinformation.
Misinformation is cybercrime.
Yes, because it has a major effect on the public.
Oh, I absolutely think it should be, but
yeah.
Is it a difficult thing to police misinformation, given that some people think the Earth began 5,000 years ago, and some people think it, I mean, do you know what I mean? Is it difficult to know? Because we talk a lot about what a fact is, on the stage yesterday.
Yeah,
Is it difficult to figure that out?
Maybe I used a bad example. Also, misinformation and disinformation is not only about history.
Yeah.
It's about rumors. So, and I faced that myself when I was in police. Disinformation, part of disinformation and misinformation is to spread a rumor that's not true, that didn't happen. And then people start to react based on this.
Sure, but even if we look at the case of P. Diddy in the United States, rumors came out, and then following, more evidence comes out. At a very early stage, when something looks like misinformation, and we might deal with it as misinformation, how do we actually identify whether or not it eventually is? Because some of these rumors end up being true.
Yeah. So I'm not experienced in this, but there are also tools that's also trying to detect and alert on misinformation and disinformation.
Yeah.
So that's also part of the tools. The problem with misinformation and disinformation is the impact. It may lead to mobs, to riots, to killings. That's what I have.
Stock prices. Yeah. Sorry, I'm fascinated. I'm a communications person. I'm fascinated by it.
So there is one point. Sorry, if you have time. Also, for using AI by law enforcement, it needs to be domain specific. It needs to learn law enforcement. It needs to learn the identities, the profiles that we are looking for. So that's what we are trying to do.
So you're developing your own domain-specific LLMs to sort of count. So it is AI versus AI out there in the dark web.
Exactly.
Really interesting. Amir El Rahwan is from the United Nations Regional Center for Combating Cybercrime. Amir, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.